Hello my crafty friends, this is Monica from Allsewpetite. Welcome to my channel. In this tutorial I will demonstrate how to make the Molly zipper pouch. This is a perfect project for a confident beginner or anyone who is comfortable sewing zippers and box corners. This is a free pattern that is available on my website, and I will include the link to the pattern and all supplies I use in this tutorial in the description box. Molly features front zipper pocket, large enough to hold a mobile phone, and a bottom panel with box corners. There is a zipper at the top, and the main compartment is fully lined. This pouch is quite large, so there is enough space to hold all your essentials and so much more. If you would like to learn how to make Molly zipper pouch, then keep on watching. To complete today's project, you will need external fabric and lining fabric. In this tutorial I am using cork for my bottom panel and this lovely medium weight cotton canvas for the external pieces, and for the lining I'm using a waterproof fabric today. If you are using lightweight or stretchy fabrics, you might want to consider fusing some woven interfacing to the back of the fabric just to give it a little bit of stability. And if you want your zipper pouch to be more sturdy, so it holds its shape, you might want to add some fusible fleece or maybe a Decovil light to the back of the fabric as well. You will also need two number 5 zippers. The measurements are provided in the sewing instructions, and I like to have a lighter on hand so I can burn the edges of my zipper to stop them from fraying. You will need a ruler to take some measurements, your favorite marking tools, snips, scissors, some pins or clips to hold your fabric in place, and I like to have an owl and a hump jumper to help me out with those bulky seams. You need to cut one zipper tab from your external fabric, one pocket facing from your external fabric, one pocket trim from your external fabric, one front piece from external fabric, one back piece from external fabric, two bottom panels from external fabric, two zipper pockets from your lining fabric, and two pieces for the front and back lining from your lining fabric. Take both of your zippers because we're going to fold the top edge by 90 degrees. So to do that, you're going to pinch the zipper just like that, fold it onto itself, and then we're going to bring that folded edge and we're going to line it up along that coil or zipper teeth. Here we go, just like that. And you can just pin that so it stays in place. And then we're going to do that on the other side. There we go. When you do, just make sure the length of your zipper is the same on each side. And then you can prep the longer zipper as well. Here we go. We're going to take this to the machine now. And we're going to baste the zipper about 2 millimeters from the edge, just to keep those folds in place. Now take your front piece and measure 15 millimeters from the top edge along the left side and make a little notch. Just like that. Take your shorter number 5 zipper and place it facing down on top of the front. We're going to line it up along that side and we're going to place the top of the zipper at that notch that we just marked. We're going to take this to the machine now and we're going to baste the zipper about 2 millimeters from the edge. Now you're going to take one of the zipper pockets and place it facing down, so the right sides are facing each other. You're going to place it on top of the front, line it up, and we're going to clip it along the zipper. You're going to sew the seam using 7mm seam allowance. Once you've got that ready, you're going to flip the panels so they are wrong sides together. And then you can just press that seam flat. Now we're going to top stitch along that finished seam. Now you're going to take your pocket trim, and with right side facing down, we're going to place it on top and line it up along that other side of the zipper. And we're going to baste it about 2mm from the edge. Okay, I've got that basted. I'm going to put this aside for a second. And now you're going to grab the other zipper pocket and the pocket facing, and with right side facing each other, you're going to place that pocket facing on top, line it up along that left side and clip it together. We're going to stitch that seam using 1cm seam allowance. When you're ready, you're going to open the panel and press the seam allowance towards the zipper pocket. Now we're going to top stitch along that finished seam. Take your front and flip it to the other side so you see the zipper pocket and the back side of your zipper. Then you're going to grab that zipper pocket with the pocket trim and place it right sides together. We're going to line it up along the edge where the zipper is, so the facing is going to be on top of the zipper and the right sides are facing each other. You're going to line it up and then clip it together. Here we go, just like that. We're going to sew the seam using 7mm seam allowance. After you've stitched that seam, you can flip that over and then open the panel just like that and press the seam allowance towards that pocket trim. Now we're going to top stitch alongside the zipper. Make sure you use the same distance as you did on this side so it is nice and symmetrical. Okay, when you've got all that ready, you have your front piece, then you have two of your zipper pockets. You're going to line all three pieces together. Just pin that temporary here. There you go, just like that. And then we're going to measure this panel because the finished measurement should be 34 centimeters. And at the moment this panel will be a little bit too long. Then you can take your scissors and we're going to trim that entire panel up to that line. And then we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to baste everything together about 5mm from the edge. Okay, now you're going to take your base panel and with right side facing each other, you're going to place it on top of the front, line it up along the bottom edge and clip everything together. Here we go, we're going to sew the seam using 1cm seam allowance and then we can repeat this on the back panel. Once you've got that ready, you're going to take this to the pressing station and we're going to press the seam allowance towards the bottom panel. I'm not going to do that because I don't really want to press my cork. But after you've pressed that, you're going to top stitch along that finished seam. And do that on both the front and back panel. Take your zipper tab, and if you want, you can draw a line in the center. Then you're going to fold those two edges towards the line. I'm just gonna eyeball it. Okay, once you've got that pressed, you're going to take your remaining number 5 zipper and make sure that the total length is 30 centimeters. So from that folded edge here to the very end, it's 30 centimeters. Then you're going to take your zipper tab and we're going to wrap it around the end of the zipper. So you're going to just fold the zipper tab in half like this. You can just clip that. And then we're going to stitch along that edge using 2mm seam allowance. Okay, when you have that ready, you're going to take your scissors and we're going to trim the zipper tab to the same width as our zipper. Just like that. Now we're going to find the midpoints along the zipper. So I'm just going to take my ruler and mark 15 centimeter here. Okay, then grab your front piece and again you're going to find the midpoint along the top edge. So I like to just fold it in half and snip it so I have a little notch here. Then you're going to take your zipper. I'm going to move this out of the way and we're going to place our zipper on top facing down. So you're going to flip it like this, line up the midpoints and clip that together. Here we go, just like that. I like my zippers to open from left to right, so that's how I positioned my zipper. If you prefer your zipper to open from the opposite side, so from the right to left, you need to flip your zipper so the zipper opening, like I have the zipper pull here, it will be on this side. Now we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to baste the zipper about 2mm from the edge. When you have that ready, you're going to take one of your lining pieces and with the right side facing down, you're going to place that lining on top, line up along the top edge and the sides and clip it together. Here we go. We're going to sew the seam using 7mm seam allowance. I've got that seam stitched. Now I'm going to open the panel and we're going to press the seam allowance towards the external front. When you're ready, you're going to top stitch along that finished seam. Take your back piece and flip it over so the right sides are facing each other. You're going to line up the midpoints and we're going to clip that back piece to our zipper. Here we go, just like that. So from this side you see the zipper and from this side you've got your external pieces right sides together. We're going to baste that zipper using 2mm seam allowance. I've got my zipper basted, so take the remaining lining piece and place it right sides together on top of the front lining. You're going to line it up along the zipper and clip it together. We're going to sew the seam using 7mm seam allowance. Once you've got that stitched, you're going to again open the panels. So the back panel is open with the lining, and we're going to press the seam allowance towards the external panel, just like that, the same way we've done on the front. And then we're going to top stitch along that finished seam. Now you're going to bring the external pieces right sides together. So flip the lining pieces out of the way, and then we're going to line up the bottom edge of our external pieces. Don't worry about anything else at this point, just line up and clip the bottom edge. Here we go, just like that. We're going to sew the seam using 1cm seam allowance. Once you've got that seam stitch, you can open the seam and press the seam flat, just like that. However, because I'm using cork and I cannot just press it, but I like to have nice and flat bottom, I'm going to open my zipper completely, and then I'm going to take this to the machine. I'm going to open the seam with my fingers, just like that, and then I'm going to top stitch along both sides of the seam, making sure I catch the seam underneath. As you see, I managed to top stitch on both sides. So from the wrong side, my seam looks nice and flat. Now you're going to flip the panel again. Keep the zipper maybe like open only halfway through. You're going to bring the lining pieces together and line them up. And we're going to clip everything around. So make sure your seams are nice and lined up on each side, and then we're going to clip it everything around. Then we're going to stitch all three sides using 1cm seam allowance. However, on the bottom edge of our lining, we need to leave an opening, so I'm just going to mark it so I don't forget it. We're going to use this opening later on to turn the entire pouch right side out. Okay, once you've got all the sides stitched and you left the opening, what you can do next is to open the seam allowance and just press it flat. Alright, the last thing to do is to box our corners. So for this, you're going to reach inside, just spread the panels, just like that. We're going to line up the seam so the seam lays nice and flat, and they are aligned, and then you can just clip that in place. Here we go, so that's one corner boxed. Then we're going to repeat that on all four corners. When you are ready, you're going to take this to the machine and we're going to sew each seam using 1 centimeter seam allowance. Okay, I've got all corners boxed. Now you're going to reach inside, open the zipper completely, and we're going to turn the entire pouch right side out. To make the side seam lay nice and flat, especially around that zipper tab, what you need to do is to reach inside. You want to make sure you open that seam allowance. So as you can see, here is the external fabric and here is the lining fabric, and my seam is open. You're going to place the lining side on top of that external fabric, keeping the seam allowance open, just like that. And then with your thumb, you're going to push on the seam and just make it nice and square. There you go, just like that. And then we're going to do that on the other side. Now pull the lining out of the pouch and line up those edges around the opening. We're going to close the opening by stitching close to the edge. Alright, and just like that, your Molly zipper pouch is now completed. Congratulations! I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I shall see you in the next video. Stay crafty, friends. Bye!